Hello and welcome to Indy BPA Attack. We have been around since 1999 and we started as a collaboration of organizations and companies in the city in an effort to provide school supplies to students in need. Our primary mission is to make sure that the students have the supplies necessary on the very first day of school. That way they come in fresh, start without a care in the world, and they're ready to go to be successful. It is a warehouse environment, so you will see air-conditioned units that may drip. There may be things on the floor. Please be aware of your surroundings and let us know if you see something that may need to be cleaned up. We do have restrooms behind the wooden door to the west. There are drinks provided. Please feel free to take a break anytime you need to and grab a drink. We ask that you do recycle. We will keep all of the plastic bags separated and put any aluminum cans or bottles in the proper receptacle. Please clean up after yourself. We are loaned to this building, so we want to make sure that we keep it clean and give it back as nice as we found it. It's extremely imperative that we count supplies properly. It affects our packing plan as well as the amount of supplies that go to each school. So I know some people may want to do things the way they want to do them, but we ask that you follow our packing plan to a T so that we make sure that we know exactly the amount of supplies we have so that we're able to send the most supplies to the schools. We have a various amount of roles that we need volunteers to fill this week. Some of those being counting, sorting, dock help, breaking down boxes, running items to where they go in the warehouse, helping us consolidate the hygiene products or maybe even the preschool items. We will also need volunteers to help with the packing plan. We will be taking carts of boxes around the warehouse to make sure that we get everything that the schools will be expecting in the boxes. And we do require that it's packed the way that we need it to be packed so that nothing gets broken in transit. We do want to put all of the heavy items at the bottom and the lighter items to the top so that we make sure we're not crushing a flash drive underneath 50 reams of paper, and the backpacks go on top since they're a little bit lighter and fluffier. It kind of fulfills the box up that way. If you've been a sorter for us before, let us know so that we can put you in that position. We love to put people back where they've done a job previously so that they already are a little bit familiar with what they're going to need to be doing. We spoke earlier about how important the count is so that we know what supplies we're sending to the school. One thing that we need to be very diligent about is making sure that we're putting jumbo pencils or manuscript paper, jumbo glue, and triangular crayons, as well as the smaller backpacks in with the preschool items. There is a line item for all preschool items. They will be lumped together, but they do need to be counted individually. Art boxes and pencil pouches get a little bit tricky. There are some different sizes to art boxes. We are considering the smaller plastic box a pencil pouch and not an art box because you can't really fit a pack of markers or colored pencils into that. So pencil pouches will be there in the orange and the red, and your art box is then in the blue. We do have a bin at the end of the runner tables for art boxes. You can place all of those in that location. Now backpacks, that gets a little bit tricky. This is where you need to make somewhat of a judgment call. You're gonna go by size and you're also gonna go by strap size. As you can see, the one in Ashley's right hand is a little bit wider. It's also a bigger bag and a wider strap compared to the one in her left hand. That would be an elementary bag. And then she also has the preschool bag, which is extremely tiny and cute. And that would be counted in all of your preschool items. Scissors. There is a difference between blunt, dull, rounded, or pointed and sharp. Please be sure that you're reading and not just assuming based off of the look of the scissors. They can be deceiving and they do look quite similar. Index cards are pretty self-explanatory. Sharpeners as well. Protractors and compasses get a little bit tricky. They normally come together, however, we don't get very many of them, so we are requesting that you count them separate, and then we will separate them when we go to send them to the schools. So please count a protractor as a protractor, a compass as a compass. Calculators, scientific versus basic. We do need to make sure that they are broken out that way when you do your count. The ruler, alarm clock, and headphones, as well as the USB drive, will be counted as individual items. So make sure that there's only one in a pack, and if there's only one in a pack, then that would be one individual item. These 3 items here will actually be counted per pack, not per piece, because you wouldn't necessarily give just the red crayon to a student for them to color a picture. It wouldn't make for a very creative photo. We do have paint on the count sheet. We don't get very much of it, but it is on the count sheet, and we do have a spot dedicated for it in the warehouse. Erasers and eraser toppers, they need to be counted individually. We will break them up and send a certain amount to the high schools and a certain amount to the elementary schools. You do not have to open the packages, but we do have to count them as separate individual items. Pencils, wooden pencils versus mechanical pencils. We will send the mechanical pencils to the high school and the wooden pencils to the elementary school. They need to be counted as individual items. So now we move on to highlighters, dry erase markers, and Sharpies or permanent markers. Please do not put permanent markers in with the regular markers or the dry erase markers. These need to be counted as individual items, as they can be broken up out of the pack and given to individual students or teachers for use. Once again, count them as individual items. The dreaded pens. Pens are to be counted as individual items. However, you can see that there's a red pen sticking out of the one pack. That will be given to teachers, so that needs to be counted as an other or miscellaneous item, and the rest of the pens are then counted into the pen count. There is not a line item on the count sheet for the red pen, but it will be counted in the others category. The red pens also have their own spot in the warehouse. Glue and glue sticks, those will be counted as individual items. So if you have a pack of 10 glue sticks, you will count that as 10 glue sticks. Composition notebooks. They look quite similar, but there is a wide rule and a college rule, and from time to time we even get graphing composition notebooks. Please be sure to read what is on the entire stack. Flip through it, make sure you have all wide together, all college rule together, and if for some reason we do have a donation of the graphing tablets, make sure that we're putting those in the other or miscellaneous category. Similar situation with your spiral notebooks. We do ask that you stagger the spiral notebooks, 1 so that they don't slide, and 2 so that the spiral bindings don't get caught. And then loose leaf paper, same thing. Make sure you're looking through an entire stack that all of it's college rule and all of it is wide rule. Folders. It does not matter if the folders are 3-prong or no prong or a trapper keeper type folder. All folders are counted in with the folders. 3-ring binders. From time to time we may get a 3-ring binder that looks to have been used. If so, it needs to go in the miscellaneous or other item, but if not, it goes under the 3-ring binder tab. Hand sanitizer does have a line item on our count sheet, and it is in the warehouse separate from the other hygiene items. This area here is just a sample of some of our miscellaneous items that we get donated. Tape, post-it notes, things of that nature are going to go into our other item. As Ashley was showing, this seems to have been used since there's pages torn out of it. We will take this, we will give it to our miscellaneous room for the teachers to shop, but that will be counted as an other. Divider tabs are also counted as an other, but we do have a location in the warehouse where we store those so that we can send a certain amount to each school. Ziploc baggies, I mean, anything that could be used or miscellaneous would go into that other category. And now we move on to hygiene items. Tissues or Kleenexes will be under our hygiene item list. There is a location for it in the warehouse though. And then any other miscellaneous hygiene item such as toothpaste, toothbrushes, body wash, antibacterial wipes, body wash, deodorant, flossers, things of that nature will all go underneath a hygiene line item. Sanitary napkins or tampons that are individually wrapped need to be counted as an individual item because a teacher could actually open up the pack and give them to one student at a time. So any sanitary napkin or tampon that's individually wrapped will be counted as an individual item. It's extremely important to make sure we only keep one company on the tables at a time. You will see the folks here on the right are going to be sorting the items, pushing them to the left, and those folks will then do the count and let the scribe know what the count is. It's preferred that you let the scribe know, I have 5 red pens or 5 others, and then they repeat back to you 5 others before you take it to the bins for the runners. Try to put as many like items together when you're sorting. That way the counters don't have to do a bunch of 1s and 2s on the count sheet. Try to get the most bang for our buck, if you will. Those that are helping from the dock to load them with boxes at the counting and sorting station, please be sure not to give them more than one company at a time. We have companies that are competing and want to be able to say how many items they donated, and it's extremely important for that reason, as well for our packing plan, that we don't put more than one company on the table at a time. For the counters, they will then take the E's and the H bags, the elementary and the high school bags, to the correct bin at the end of the runner station. There's a box marked E, a box marked H, and then you have our art boxes. Please be sure, if you're a runner, that you actually replace those boxes and mark them with the E and the H so that the counters put the bags in the right location. We're extremely thankful for the partnerships that we have in the Indianapolis community, and we're also thankful for the volunteers that we get year after year. We could not do this without the extreme energy that we get from our volunteers and the volunteers that come back year after year. We're extremely thankful for the financial support we get from our partners as well.